For those of you who follow my progress either on these videos or on social media, you'll know my challenge this year is to cycle from St Malo on the northwest coast of France down to Nice on the Mediterranean over 14 days, taking in the monstrous beasts of Provence, Mount Ventoux along the way. All of this is to try and raise funds for the wonderful local baby hospice called Zoe's Place. My progress so far, after confessing early on that the Ventoux bit scared the crap out of me, had until recently been positive, and during May, massively encouraging. If you watched my last video release, you'll have seen the conquering of the famous col de rats in early May. In another video yet to be edited and published on YouTube, I spent the end of May cycling with my pal Mick in Cantabria and nailed some Ventoux-like ascents over significant distances, I have to say. Confidence was high. And looking ahead, I have a family holiday in the Alps near Morzine, where the Tour de France in the last few weeks passed through and had one of its toughest stages. So as far as training for this challenge, it was a dream scenario. It just couldn't have worked out any better. I had various cols in the area that I was going to have a go at, and I was fit as I've been in my 20s, so I felt really positive about that. But, well, I'll let this inebriated sounding fool sum up my biggest oversight ever.
And finally, definitely the biggest tip I'll ever give any of you, and particularly for those of you like me who are, shall we say, getting on a bit. I pride myself on how hard I've tried and on how dedicated I've been to getting myself to the point where I'm as fit as I was in my 20s. But, and this is a big but, I forgot that in spite of that, I still have a 64-year-old body, and I needed to treat it with way more respect than I treated it with, and I'm now paying a painful and worrying price.
My slurred, drunk-sounding voice in that video was due to taking lots of prescribed morphine. So here's why. Back in Spain, when we were packing up the van, I basically did something really dumb regarding holding up a heavy bike-laden tailgate with my shoulder while stretching to grab something that I needed to put in the back of the van. On the ferry home, my partner Linda recalls I was complaining about back pain and asking her for paracetamol. So I honestly believe that that stupid move triggered a problem which was clearly already there, and things have just rapidly progressed downhill after that. Now, the whole purpose of making these videos is because I'm trying to do a tough challenge to raise money for the hospice. And almost immediately after returning from Spain, I'd been given a brilliant opportunity by the organisers of the National Cycling Show to ride my turbo trainer at the show for 2 days. So, kind of busking, encouraging donations. It was definitely a fantastic occasion to be enjoyed, but maybe I should have listened to myself at around 4 AM on that first morning.
So it's 4 AM on the morning of the National Cycling Show, where I'm going to be there all day, pedaling my turbo trainer bike, smiling at the public, and the pain is unbelievable. Been awake most of the night. I don't have much hope for getting any more sleep before the alarm goes off at 6, so you just want the pain to go away when you're like this. It's in my lower back and it's going down into my hip and my leg. Nightmare.
I don't regret doing this by any means. It truly was a great event. But I have to say, I was putting on a brave face because it was a painful struggle throughout the whole thing. Yet massively beneficial for Zoe's Place. Well, and that really was the whole point. There's a short video on the channel about the event, which was great, and in between popping painkillers, I did manage to have some fun. I'm pretty sure though that the rapid progression of pain since was going to happen anyway. And it wasn't long before, well, I enjoyed 7 weeks of hell. Quite probably the worst and most miserable few weeks of my life. I'm always keen to get the camera rolling for a good shot, regardless of what's going on, but thank God I wasn't in any fit state to turn on the camera and film what was happening then. Before the doctors finally sussed the thing regarding pain relief, I'll be honest with you, there were times when I was on all fours in my living room, tears and snot in full flow, begging for the pain to go away. And I never ever want to go through that again. Anyway, the pretty horrible situation was strung out longer than I'd like for sure, whilst they experimented with various drugs, including the morphine episode. I couldn't function as a normal human being on that stuff, and I'm telling you, if you ever have any situation where you feel like you've never felt pain like it before and you're begging for morphine, because it always seems to be the go-to drug in hospital for anyone in a serious bad way, only do that if you're stuck in bed, not able to do anything anyway. Because on that stuff, you have no chance of trying to live a remotely normal life. And in reality, for me, it still wasn't even killing the pain. After an MRI scan revealed that the pain was clearly nerve pain, thank God an increasing dose of nerve blockers has rescued me and left me with nothing more than constant niggling pain in my ankle and calf, which thankfully doesn't actually hurt when I'm on the bike, to be honest. The upshot of it all though is that regretfully I have to have surgery on my back to pin 2 vertebrae together, as one is slipping and the nerve is getting pinched. It's called a spinal fusion. So that's my sub story. But now there's some good news, but also some bad news. The good news is these nerve blockers are like magic, and cycling apparently isn't going to make anything worse. So it looks like the France end-to-end and my Ventoux challenge might still go ahead. I am filming this though a couple of days before I meet the surgeon. At the very end of the video, I'll just drop a quick update, which hopefully gives the green light for attempting the challenge. The bad news is, I've hardly touched the bike for almost 8 weeks now, and time's running out. It just feels like all that hard work to get myself as fit as I was has been wasted. We'll soon see, of course. I did my first ride a few days ago, just a quick loop around where I live, 12 miles, as I feared the exertion would trigger some kind of revenge from my body, which I've had previously after just going for a short walk. It felt like there was a vice gripping tight on my calf. An hour or so after the bike ride, this occasion it didn't happen, so yippee, I got all excited and then came down with a head cold, which floored me for a couple of days. So yesterday I did a group ride with the pack on Zwift, and disappointingly I couldn't keep up with the pace and just dropped back after 6 miles and stopped my ride after 10. So it looked like there's a lot to do. Conquering those colds in the Alps in August just looked like a bloody tall order. Let's get real here. To be really honest, I was absolutely off. I'm massively disappointed. But I've got to grab the positive, because during that dark period of several weeks, I have to say, a lot of the tears were from being devastated that the whole thing planned for so long had just gone up in smoke. And now that looks like it might not be the case. Here we are the day after, and things have taken a turn for the better. I decided that it was probably my last chance before I go to France to go on a group ride with the lads from my club. Thank God for cycling clubs, that's all I'll say. It's just another reason why I recommend you, whoever you're watching, if you're not in one, to join one. I've just done 46 miles and I kept up. I struggled a bit on some of the hills, which I expected, and there's a lot of work to be done there. But when you think about 8 weeks off the bike, you really don't know how much you're going to lose. And I was surprised actually that once you're in a group and there's people chatting with you and your mind's off the effort, I was amazed what I achieved. And maybe the tank isn't as empty as I thought.
So a quick update that I promised, and it's encouraging but also a bit confusing. I'm talking to you, by the way, after I've done another club ride, about another 50 miles or so. This time I started getting a deferred pain from my back in my hip and calf around the 30-mile mark, which was a bit worrying, and I had to drop the power down and spin in the lower gear, so a lot slower for a while. And then when I hit the 40 miles, the pain seemed to subside a bit and I was able to carry on as normal. I saw the surgeon yesterday, and as far as I was concerned, we were going to be talking about a date for a back operation. But he almost had the attitude that he wondered why I'd been sent to see him. As far as he's concerned, only 1 in 4 people who have this condition have to have surgery, and he would rather avoid it if he could. I'm certainly not going to argue with that. So I'm off to France on Tuesday with an appointment to go and see him when I get back, before I do the France end-to-end in September. He wants me to start lessening the dose on the nerve blockers, but obviously I'm only going to do that if I'm no longer in pain in my leg, which I'm still getting when I walk in spite of me being on the maximum dose. Cycling though is okay and pain-free, which is lucky. So it's definitely all systems to go at the moment for me to try and get some fitness back to replace that missing 8 weeks. And we'll see how things go.
So this video is an update on what I call Project Ventoux, which has been a collection of short videos which so far have been largely positive, and I know this one's been a bit grim. There'll eventually be videos of what I'm up to in France, in the Alps, on YouTube. But if you've got any interest in what's going on here, try following me on my Facebook page or Twitter, and also very soon on my new website, ordinaryblokeonthebike.co.uk. On all of these, I'll hopefully post some regular updates. Thank you so much for watching this. I realise I haven't really talked much about Zoe's place actually, and they're the whole reason this is all happening. It's the most beautiful and caring facility for babies and kids under 6, and it's the only one of its kind in the Midlands. If anyone has been moved to help this very needy cause here, it genuinely really needs the funds, and I'll leave a link to my Just Giving page in the description below. But in the meantime, consider subscribing to the channel by clicking on the little icon here, and here's a couple of videos here for you to click on to see what you'll see if you subscribe. Happy cycling, and I'll see you soon.